Hello, dear students. Today we are going to discuss all the possible questions that could appear from the story, A Question of Trust. So let's begin. The first question: what did everyone think of Horace Danby? Include his appearance and other details. Okay, so here I've written the answer bullet wise so that you can recall them. Okay, the first point. Everyone thought Horace Danby was a good and honest citizen. So that is what everyone thought of Horace Danby. How old was he? He was 50 years old, a bachelor. That means he was unmarried and he lived with his housekeeper who always worried about his health. Then, what did he do? He made locks and was a successful businessman with two helpers. He was usually very well and happy except for attacks of hay fever during summer. He was a good and respectable person, but he was not completely honest. So this is the explanation of Horace Danby and what people thought about him. Okay, Horace Danby thought this year's robbery was going to be successful as all the others. So what reasons did he give? So you have to choose the appropriate answer. Is it A, for 2 weeks he had been studying the house at Shotover Grange? B, he had a duplicate key made to enter the house? C, he had looked into the rooms, the electrical wiring, its path and garden? Or D, the family was in America and the two servants had gone to the market. So why did he think that this year's robbery was also going to be successful? Okay, it is answer A, because for 2 weeks he has been studying the house and he also looked into the rooms, the electrical wiring, the path, the garden, everything. It is not this because he did not make any duplicate key. Also, it isn't this one because the family was in London and the two servants had gone to the movies and not to the market. Okay, moving to the next one. Was he always careful during his robbery? True. Yes, he always wore a pair of gloves and was careful not to leave any fingerprints. So that is why he was never caught. The next question, what do you have to do to keep a dog quiet? A, call them by their right names. B, feed them biscuits. C, sing a lullaby. Or D, show them love. So this is mentioned in the story that when Horace Danby goes into the house, he says, in order to keep a dog quiet, you have to. Have you marked your answer? It is option A, call them by their right names, and B, show them love. Okay. Going to the next question. Why didn't he want to collect pictures instead of books? So he usually collects books, right? But why didn't he want to collect pictures? A, selling them would be a hassle. B, they would occupy too much place. C, he did not understand art. Or D, he did not know any art dealers. So he did not want to collect pictures because option is answer B, because they would occupy too much place, and books were better because in his small house they occupied less space. Okay. The next question, what made him sneeze? A, there was a room freshener that he was allergic to. B, the dust inside the house. C, the fur of the dog as he was allergic to dogs. Or D, there was a great bowl of flowers on the table. Okay, so those who know the story well will definitely get this answer right because there was a great bowl of flowers on the table and he was allergic to flowers. Yes. Okay, quickly moving on to the next one. Did he find it difficult to break the locks? How long did he have for the heist? That means for the robbery. The safe was not going to be hard to open as he had lived with locks and safes all his life. Also, the burglar alarm was poorly built, so he went and cut the burglar alarm easily. He carefully arranged his stool as he had 4 hours before the servants would arrive after watching the movie. That is why he did not find it difficult to break the locks, because he had lived with locks and safes all his life. He was a locksmith. Next, Horace thought how foolish people are when they own valuable things. Now, why did he think that? So, a magazine article had described the house, the plan of all the rooms, and it also mentioned that the painting was hiding a safe. So that is why he thought how foolish people are when they own valuable things, because they had disclosed where the safe of the house was. Next question, why were the flowers hindering his work? So we know, since he suffered from hay fever, the big bowl of flowers triggered his hay fever and he kept sneezing. So because of that, it hindered his work. Next question, it is quite important. What made Horace believe that the young woman was the owner? So what all instances made him believe? So the first one was the dog Sherry was rubbing against her. Second, she was young, pretty, dressed in red, and walked to the fireplace and straightened the ornament there. It is an action that shows familiarity and something that an owner would do and not a thief. Third, she told the dog to sit down and explained that she had just returned from her trip and anyone would think that she was away for a month. So she also gave an explanation that she was away and she just returned. And if you remember in the story, she picked up a silver box from the table and took a cigarette from it. So that also shows familiarity with the objects in the house. So all of this made him believe that the young woman was the owner. Next question, why did Horace have some hope of escaping? A, she seemed quiet and kind. B, she seemed amused at meeting him. C, he thought if he treated her the right way, he could avoid trouble. D, she did not seem like someone who would punish someone. So, now why did he have hopes of escaping? Because she seemed amused at meeting him and he thought that if he treated her the right way, then he could avoid the trouble. The next. The lady said, if I let you go, you will go rob someone else. What reply did Horace give to prove that he is not a threat to the society? What did he say? He says he is not a threat to the society. He only robs from those who have lots of money. And he steals for a good reason. Also, that he hates the thought of prison. So he said that he would never again rob, and he only robs from those who have lots of money. Next question, what mistake did the always careful Horace make that day? So we all know when the lady took a cigarette from a silver box, Horace, in order to please her, took off his gloves and gave her his cigarette lighter. So there were fingerprints all over. And that is the mistake that he did. Next, what promise did they make to each other? So we all know Horace promised to never steal again if she would let him go. And what did she promise? She promised to let him go if he would break open the safe for her. Next question. What story did she cook up in order for Horace to break open the lock for her? Okay, important. The lady says that before they went to London, she had promised her husband that she would take the jewels to the bank, but she left them in the safe of the home. And she wanted to wear the jewelry for a party that day, but she had forgotten the numbers to open the safe. So she asked him to break open the safe and that she would get it fixed by the time her husband returns, which was 1 month later. So this is the story that she made to convince Horace that she was the owner, and she convinced him to break open the lock for her. Did Horace keep his promise to the lady of never robbing anyone again? So for 2 days he kept his promise. However, on the third day morning, he thought about the books he wanted and he knew that he would have to find another safe to break. But unfortunately, he never even got a chance to begin his plan. So why did he never even get a chance to begin to plan his plan of robbing another safe? Because that day, by noon, which is the third day, he was arrested for the jewel robbery at Shotover Grange. Next, why didn't anyone believe his story? Is it A, he had his fingerprints all over the safe and the house, which proved that he was the thief? B, he said that the owner herself had asked him to open the safe? C, the grey-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 60 denied the story, who was the real owner. So why didn't anyone believe his story? It is because of all of the above. Especially because the real owner, who was a grey-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 60, denied his story that she had asked him to open the safe. And also, he was proved guilty because he had his fingerprints all over the house and also on top of the safe. Next, what talks makes him really angry? A, when someone calls him a fake thief. B, when someone talks about books. C, when he thinks about the young lady who cheated him. Or D, when someone talks about honor among thieves. So what talk makes him really angry? This is option D. Yes, correct. When someone talks about honor among thieves. Coming to the final question. Is robbing by Horace Danby justified even if he robbed for a good cause? So this is my personal answer. You can write what you feel is correct, whether it is justified or not. So according to my perspective, it is wrong by Horace Danby to steal, even if he stole from the people who are extremely rich, because stealing is an immoral activity. And the money or jewelry stolen is someone's belonging. Horace has no right to rob the possessions of others. He should have found an ethical way to make money and purchase his books. So it is wrong. And that is the end of all the questions. I hope the story is thorough now. All the very best for your exams. I'm praying for you.